Congressman Adam Kinzinger, Republican, Illinois. Good to see you, sir.
You too, my man. How are you?
Let's discuss what you're just going to love, which is how hard a task you have. So first, we have a member of your leadership, Steve Scalise, who was on TV, asked a very simple question about the legitimacy of the election and said this. Nothing like silence. Am I supposed to do an impression of him? So Steve Scalise wouldn't answer the question about their
election was not stolen, correct?
Look, Joe Biden's the president. There were a few states that did not follow their state laws. That's really the dispute that you've seen continue on.
I asked you, is he the legitimate president of the United States, and do you concede that this election was not stolen? Very simple question, please. Just answer it.
Once the electors are counted, yes, he's the legitimate president. But if you're going to ignore the fact that there were states that did not follow their own state legislatively set laws, that's the issue at heart.
Now, here's the problem. That's not true, what he said. And I think he knows it's not true. It's hard to know because he lives in such a silo. You know, he's such a right fringe kind of inhabitant. But there is no state that didn't follow its law in a way that was unacceptable to that state's lawmaking process or its adjudication process through the courts. It's just not true. But if your leadership is saying that, that's a problem for you because your party agrees. Would you support if Trump formed a third party? 46% of your brothers and sisters say yes. 27% say I'll stay GOP. 27% say I don't know. How do you beat all this?
It's going to take time, and it's going to take actually speaking up and saying the truth. And so, you know, with the whip's comments, I don't understand why we can't just say the very basic thing, which is Joe Biden's president. You know, you see this chatter where everybody talks about, well, then you're disenfranchising the 74 million people that voted for Donald Trump. Look, he had 74 million people vote for him. Joe Biden had like 81 million people. So you're not being disenfranchised. You're actually being enfranchised. It's just more people voted the other way. That's what this whole thing is about. And that's where I get concerned is if you have concerns with how an election was run, okay, even though the federal government's job, I mean, if you think about when the system was set up before the days of Twitter, we just simply receive what a state sends us and we say, okay, good to go. You know, that's our job. If there's a problem with how Pennsylvania runs its elections, that's for the people of Pennsylvania to deal with in the state legislature, not for us to come in and to implement our will. And so I don't understand why such a basic threshold. Look, we lost, okay? Donald Trump lost. And instead of complaining about that, we need to just figure out why and try to get more votes than the next person the next time.
But you also have to figure out why you're such a rare animal. You know, I was talking about you this weekend, one of my favorite pastimes. And somebody was like, oh, Kinzinger, you just hate Trump. I said, is that why you voted with him 90% of the time? I said, the guy's a conservative Republican. That's what he is. You may like that. You may not like that. This is about that and part of character, integrity, and what you want to see in a leader. You know, your voting record is no Republican could really blink at it and say you're not, you know, a real member of the party. But you got censured by your state party because you're not pure Trump enough. Your own family was chasing after you with 2 different letters about how, you know, all the things that only family can say to one of their own about what a disappointment you are. Can you win in this party right now at home?
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I'm going to try. And that's where, look, there's been basically Donald Trump has had, you know, unmatched for 4 or 5 years, the megaphone. And now we need to have competing voices. I wish it was more than just me out there, but I'm going to continue to be as loud as I can. That's what the whole, I have to do the shameless plug, countryfirst.com is about with a one, is because it's about not propelling me, not putting me in a position. It's about saying to truly country first Republicans or independents that are country first, or even some Democrats saying, look, stand up and put the country before any single person. And I think, look, there's nobody in my party, I think, that really believes this is a long-term winning solution, but they're hoping, I think in many cases, that somebody like me, or there is an organic movement away from Trump and then they can say, gee, I was never with him the whole time. The problem is, in this era of new media and everything, the tapes last.
True. And look, you do have the mandate issue on your side that, your party is folding itself over for Trump, who has never won a majority of any election he's been in. And that's an interesting bet that goes to the kind of changing demographics and where your party is on it. Does any of this give you pause, not about being a Democrat because you don't agree with them on most policy things, but of whether or not you're in the right business? You're a natural leader. Everyone who knows you says that. But do you think there is a space for you in the state of politics right now?
So I think that's what we're going to know in the next few years, honestly, is, where does this party go? What does that look like? Does it continue to say we're going to pledge allegiance to a man over a flag in some cases? Does it say, you know what, we're going to get back to the roots of what we believe and put it in 21st century with updated technology? If that's the case, and I think that will be the case, but it's only going to happen when people are coming out and speaking the truth. I mean, look, Chris, in my district, I got 65% of the vote. Donald Trump got 56% of the vote. If you think the Donald Trump thing in the long term is going to be the winning coalition and not somebody like me that's conservative, but doesn't offend people and doesn't go out and attack and say that you owe me everything and doesn't incite insurrections, then we'll be a minority party forever. But I don't know what that looks like. All I know is I can rest with real peace knowing that I'm going to fight as hard as I can to get a normal functioning Republican Party that needs to be part of this.
And in fairness, you didn't get brought into office because Trump said so. He was not a fan of yours for some time because of your lack of fealty. We haven't heard of the party making a move on you unless there's something you wanted to let us know in terms of not wanting you on committees or anything like that. So that's a good indication. Have you been able to mollify any of your family members?
So look, the vast majority of my family, even if they disagree with me, they're good family members. These are my dad's cousins. And quite honestly, the letter that came out, I didn't even release that. She had sent that to so many people out of so much anger, just can't help herself. And it went out. And I'm glad the letter came out because I think that people need to see, if you haven't experienced that division in your family, this is the best example of it. And so look, I hold nothing against them. I mean, maybe someday I'll have to look back and do some more forgiveness in my heart, but I don't feel it right now. I just have no desire really to reach out and repair it. That's up to them.
Boy, you put a vowel on the end of your name, and you'd know exactly how mad you are at them right now. Maybe this is an upside to not having more of an ethnic swing to you. Congressman Kinzinger, look, I do not mean to give you a hard time about your challenge. I think that it is really refreshing to have somebody who just wants to do what they think is right policy-wise and personally in terms of the values. It's just not a very helpful climate for you. That's why I consider it a pleasure to have you on the show to make the case.
You bet. Anytime.